Hi, everyone. Neil Douglas, and this is American Truth Finders. For some reason, I'm having a little bit of a problem with my own video, but hopefully you can see what's going on and give me some comments tonight. We're going to be doing a lot of coverage about the coronavirus, the rise of it, part three, but we're going to focus a lot tonight on the vaccine, what's going on with the vaccine. I hope you'll share this. Hi, Audrey. I'm glad you could join us. At least I got to know I got one viewer. I'm not quite sure why I can see my face, but I can't, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's much smaller than normal. That's all right. Judy Whiting, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Tonight, like I said, we're going to do something different. We're going to continue the coverage of the coronavirus, but we're going to try to get into the vaccine situation and what's behind all of this. There's something going on that is very deep and dark, and I think that we need to uncover as much as we can. Um, uh, Chicago's in the house. That's right, Judy. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Evelyn, how are you? There's all the way from the Philippines. Oh, we're starting to get a good start. I love this. And I want to let you know. I want to let you know um, the coronavirus is 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 such a focus right now that I'm almost beginning to wonder. And this is more of a joke, okay? So just don't anybody get too upset about this. But the bottom line is, instead of it being the uh, coronavirus, maybe it's an election infection. Just a thought. Just a thought. Don't anybody get too riled up. Anyway, I'm going to start off tonight. Now, everybody has heard about Dr. Simone Gold. I'm going to start off with her for a reason, and you'll find out as I go along. And for those of you that are not familiar with watching the show, you'll know that in the past I've always tell everybody, and I'll tell you the same thing, that I do my show like I used to do my radio show, and that is I have my information on paper, and like many people on TV, I do look down like they do. So you just please bear with me, forgive me, overlook me. I'm not your professional TV person. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing going to start off with Simone Gold is very important, and it's going to, I think if you'll follow along with me tonight, stay with me, tell your friends to tune in, share this, do whatever you can, because this is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. There's something going on behind the scenes that we're not sure. We've got to find out. We've got to dig in, and if that means even starting a group of some sorts, like a movement. Now, movement I'm referring to is possibly any um, similar to any type of movement, Black Lives Matter, or any movement that will help find out what in the world is going on. Anyway, Dr. Simone was summarily fired. Excuse me, yes, summarily fired for appearing in what was told to be an embarrassing video. Now, I'm bringing that up right now very, very seriously because of the fact, Lisa Anderson, hi, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. And I know you have some good information for us as well. But anyway, let me just say this. Lisa, and I'm going to tell you something, high tech has gotten involved. And why is high tech and why are politicians dictating to what doctors can or cannot say? And why are doctors and why are politicians and tech companies saying who can be on and who cannot be on and what they can and cannot say when most of these people don't even have a clue what a doctor is? This I'm going to give you a real quick example here. she goes on to say, she says, our website host, and I'm going to name the website host because maybe some of you are familiar with them. I don't know if you are or not, but I am. I do not happen to use them on my website, but I'm going to tell you who this website is that they took her down. Our website host at Squarespace has just completely and advertently shut down our website, claiming a violation. And that is, and then they go on to put on that they put on a phony phone number, a 555 number. Now I'm going to tell you something. Why is Squarespace even getting involved? They just host the website. They just host the website. Now I know people are going to come and go, and some people are going to want to comment. Some people are not going to want to comment because you're concerned about what people might think. Don't do that. Please comment. This is your show. I'm your host, and that's it. This is your show. Now, she went on to say, and I'm repeating some of the stuff that she is because this is important information. Joanne Olson, hi, I'm glad you could join us. I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody can make some kind of comments tonight. Anyway, she appeared on the Glenn Beck show. And that was on last Thursday, I believe it was, and she reiterated, how many of her group's claims about the hysteria and the controversy and the surrounding hydroxychloroquine, which she calls is a complete myth. I tell you what, and we're going to cover this a lot tonight because there is so much controversy going back and forth between the vaccine and the hydroxychloroquine. Excuse me if my tongue gets twisted around my eye tooth because sometimes I can't see what I'm saying. Anyway, she says that hydroxychloroquine is an analog or a derivative of quinine, which we talked about last week, and it which comes or is found on the bark on a tree bark. Well, the tree barks have been around for years, as far as I know. Now she says it's the most non-controversial medications that there is. It's been around for centuries and it's been approved, FDA approved in the modern version called hydroxychloroquine for 65 years. 65 years. In all that time, doctors used it for breastfeeding pregnant women, elderly people, children, and immune people. Now that's important because this is what's happening with the coronavirus. It attacks your immune system. Janet Blazin, hi, I'm glad you could join us. How are you? Janet says, I did some research on Legionnaires. Okay. It is way too long to post here. It is very good. Please go to my timeline to see my post. It states or starts out with, look what I found. Well, Janet, I appreciate that, and I will do that, and I hope our other viewers will do the same thing. Go to Janet's timeline and read about the Legionnaires. I did read something that you mentioned, Janet, that that is very interesting, and that makes me wonder about what's going on, as far as the COVID and the Legionnaires. What is there? What connection is there? And that's just my own remarks, Janet. I'm not putting your words in my mouth. Anyway, now I'm going to go on because shortly after appearing on the Glenn Beck radio program last Thursday, the Los Angeles-based emergency medicine specialist, Dr. Simone Gold, got a call saying she was fired for speaking out about the efficiency of hydroxychloroquine in a now banned viral video. Well, we all know, if any of you have been aware, we all know what the viral video is. All right. She goes on. And she said, She returned to the radio program on Monday to detail exactly what happened, the reason the hospitals gave her her firing, and how they threatened to fire her colleagues. They threatened to fire her colleagues if she did not go quietly. That is like, what are they hiding? And what are the hospitals doing? And this is not one hospital, because she, like many doctors, work at more than one hospital. She got fired at both hospitals. So instead of her having her colleagues fired, because most emergency room doctors do this, they do go to other doctors or other hospitals. Rather than have her colleagues fired, she was fired because she did not want to put her colleagues in that position. Now she goes on. She said she does not regret speaking out about the oxychloroquine during the controversial White Coat Summit. Now, when we talk about the White Coat Summit, there's called the White Coat or White Papers, which I hope we can get into on that. She goes on to because she did the summit was done in Washington, D.C. And the conference went viral. We all know that. And it was all taken down by YouTube. It was taken down by Facebook. It was taken down by Twitter. It was taken down by whoever was media, social type media, including Squarespace, which is a website builder or host, I should say. And I am familiar with Squarespace. I won't tell you how, only because I want to protect the other person that I know that has that and that I help with that website. She goes on to say, bring it on. I will continue to live in America. I want my children to continue to live in America. I do not want them to grow up in a place like China. How many of you out there think that we're headed that direction? I just, like a raise of the hand. I don't care how you do it. Say yes or whatever. And she says, when you get to a point where not only you cannot speak as a scientist or as a doctor for what I know is to be absolutely true, but you then want to cancel me and my colleagues, and that's supposed to be not okay. Or no, she says this is not okay. Excuse me. She said, I would much rather fight than not fight. And I want everybody to know that there are literally millions and millions of Americans who are on our side. And I agree with her. There are millions of people that are on Dr. side. Dr. Gold she's taken a lot of heat, but she's gotten a lot of attention too, and which is good, because I think it may do her something more so than what she's doing. She may be able to get her message across to more people. She says she believes that the majority of the people believe her. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it because the rest of it's just kind of a little bit of information. Here's something you might be interested in. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Janice just posted a couple. She said, I believe that these dirty, damp bacteria, CO2 laden masks are causing Legionnaires, which has the same symptoms as COVID, and therefore is diagnosed as such. Janet, that's why I did read that post that you made, and I got to thinking about this. Why wouldn't that be a possibility? How many people have been misdiagnosed with COVID? How many? I'm sure some of you out there do know people who have been misdiagnosed. I'm sure some of you know somebody who has been, even maybe yourself, has been misdiagnosed. This is not a situation of to give them what's best. We're going to get into this. I'm going to tell you what. Politicians, tech companies, et cetera, including, and I'm including, social media, have no clue whatsoever what they know, what doctors know. And I'm going to tell you something. We have to get down to business and figure out what the heck's going on behind our backs, because there's something darker and deeper than what we are being told. And we're going to get into a little bit of that. Here's a very interesting number that I want you to tell that I want to tell you, because we've talked about this a little bit on our previous show. Only 42% of Americans say they would get a COVID-19 vaccine if it were available. Well, they're sure working on it pretty darn fast, and I'm going to give you some companies and I'm going to give you some information about some of them before I go on to who some of these people are, because I got to tell you what. Well, let me see if I can do that. I'm going to make real quick. Here we go. Let's see. All right. Broken down politically, because everything is always done nowadays. That's what this reads. The poll reported that just 55% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans were planning to get vaccinated. 55% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans. Now, independents were even less likely than GOPs. They were going at 34%. Also, 62% of presumptive Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden supporters would take the vaccine, compared to just 35% of President Trump's supporters. Is this a political situation that everybody's looking at? I mean, is this all political? And when I look at what's going on in Congress right now, I don't trust either side of them. They can't even come to an agreement on what they're going to do about people that are suffering because of the virus, or it just drives me right up a tree. Joanne Olson says, I was on hydroxychloroquine for over 2 years with no side effects. Did have to have my eyes checked and usually annually, excuse me, because you can tell I need mine checked, which I was supposed to have had done today. Actually, I found out they changed it to next week. Anyway, because it is possible to have issues. I will be going back on it. Have rare form of arthritis. Yes, I do understand that it is used for arthritis as well. Now this is for the Facebook police. If you're watching, I'm going to tell you where this came from. This is from Admiral Brett. I believe it's Corornavirus is how it's pronounced. Anyway, he is on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, and he's a member of that force. He says no HCQ, none whatsoever. He says, let's move on. Now, this came from his own mouth when he was interviewed on Meet the Press. This article, hydroxychloroquine is not indicated for COVID-19 under any circumstances. A team of researchers who conducted the first recommended clinical trial that tests hydroxychloroquine, excuse me if I keep getting my tongue twisted, as an early treatment for mild coronavirus illness, has found that the drug has no better than a placebo in patients who are not hospitalized. Okay, I want to know, I really want to know who these researchers are. I really would love to know who the researchers are, because I have to tell you, this is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and we're going to get a little deeper here, even more so. So please stick with me, bear with me, and jump in anytime. Please jump in anytime. You know, this was published in the Journal of Annuals of Internal Medicine, the study has found that about 24% of patients given the hydroxychloroquine had persisting symptom over 14 days, while an estimated 30% of the group had a placebo also had persistent symptoms over the same period. The researchers concluded that the difference between the two was not statistically significant. Guess what? Guess what? These people they're not giving their names. They're not telling us who they are. They're not telling us. They're not telling us. They are just using their own numbers, their own research, but we can't prove it. We can't even find it. Does anybody understand where I'm coming from on this? And why this is becoming such a darker and darker thing? We keep hearing either the virus is getting worse or it's getting better. All of a sudden it's getting worse because of more testing. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm only listening to the same thing you're listening to or reading the same thing you're reading. The study goes on to say that to arrive to their finding, researchers at the University of Minnesota, that was who apparently is the one, conducted the study from March through May. The findings and the evidence that the malaria drug, which was first acknowledged as treatment based on scant data. That's their comment, scant data. Early in the pandemic, did not substantially reduce symptoms severity in outpatients and early mild COVID, which was caused by the pathogen severe acute respiratory syndrome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to read the whole article, but you're getting my point. You're getting my point. Why is it I have read and seen and heard people say they took it when they had the COVID and it worked? Why are we're hearing so much difference in opinions and almost like it's infighting. We got them pulling at each other. What in the heck is going on? Now, Joanne Olson says that HCQ is a generic medicine and it costs pennies. A vaccine will cost billions. Remdesivir costs hundreds or more. Yes, I have the figures on what they figured Remdesivir is going to cost. Now I have a letter here, and this is regarding actually Remdesivir. When you're talking about that, Joanne, I've got to tell you, it says it's going to be around $3,100 per treatment. $3,100 per treatment compared to what is it? Maybe 65 cents for the hydroxychloroquine pill, which might be, I don't know how many there is in a 14-day trial. But the point I'm getting at here is this open letter. I'm not going to read it because of the fact it is on my timeline. If you want to go there, it is on my timeline, and it really results to the fact, as far as I'm concerned, because this is an important thing. It really is. Because behind it is Gilead Sciences. They are developing Remdesivir. Excuse me. They are the ones that are really behind it. They are one of the ones that are making it. They're going to try to make it affordable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, to me, $3,100 or $3,600 or whatever the case might be. In one case, the FDA, I think it is. Let me see if I'm right about that. No, it's the NIAID. They did a study and they said that taking the example of the United States after patient hospital discharge would result in the hospital savings of approximately $12,000 per patient. Bull, excuse my way of putting it. It's not going to save it's not going to, look, they're going to gouge somebody, whether it's the hospitals, whether it's the pharmaceuticals. They're going to gouge somebody. And Francesco, how are you? She's been having, I have a feeling after the election, Trump wins again, this virus will disappear. Well, there's two sides to that coin, Francisco. I've got to be honest with you. If because we're not going to know when that election is going to be decided anyway. With the way things are going, it's going to be a situation where it could be on before it's decided, because Nevada, just that one state alone, I don't know if anybody else is going to follow that. And this whole virus has become a political situation. But Nevada they're mailing out to everybody, just anybody and everybody, for a mail-in, not one where you request a absentee ballot, but just a ballot to mail in millions. So, and anybody can go to a nursing home or to an assisted living home and fill out this information for somebody, sign their name, and they could do this how many times? How are they going to know? And Nevada could hold up that particular situation. And if let's say that if Biden were to win, Francisca, will the virus end then? I mean, we got two sides of the story here, and I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not going to argue with that point at all. If he should, it might disappear if Trump wins, and the same goes with Biden. Yes, it is political. She goes on to say, it is. It truly is political. And I've got to tell you, I've got a report here. And this is from the New Medical Life Science, that says that the clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19 outpatients reported as safe. Now there is one that I have to tell you. There's another company, and I believe it is, I want to pronounce it, somebody help me out here. Moderna, because I can't read my own writing. It's Moderna, I believe, Moderna. I believe that's what it is. Anyway, it's a vaccine that's conducted in stage 3 at this point. They're in stage 3. How many stages, how long before you would feel safe in taking this vaccine? How long before you would take it knowing that you're not going to have any side effects? How in the world can they give us a vaccine in less than a year, or maybe a year, and know what the long-term benefits are going to be, or the long-term side effects are going to be? They're concerned about the HCQ as far as the heart rhythm mainly, but that has been so minute, and doctors can get that under control. Doctors can get that to where it is under control, and they've had less issues with that than they have with anything else. Like any medicines can upset your stomach. That's not an uncommon thing. I don't care what you're taking. Medicines can upset your stomach. Where I'm coming from right now, we've got a situation that has to be uncovered. Number one, such a worldwide spread of the virus. Number two, Everybody's fighting. Everybody's fighting to get a vaccine. The money goes up. The dollar price goes up. Everybody's bidding the higher price when they've got, and yet we're told by politicians basically that we cannot take what we feel is good or what our doctor says. Hey, you know, if you can handle the hydroxychloroquine, that's what I'll give you. Why are we dictated to in that way? There's something more deeper than this. Lisa, hi Lisa, again, said I looked on drugs.com, look at the safe doses for HCQ. They have a page where they discuss COVID. The update is from April, but they give two sides of the argument. I was surprised that anything on the internet had balanced approach. Yeah, I've been to that site, and I have to tell you, I have to agree with you. In fact, I thought I printed it off, but maybe I didn't. The information on that. But you're right. This is right. There's how often do you get a balanced approach when you're on the internet anymore? And I'm going to tell you like it is. I mean, I don't care where you do your searches anymore. You can't even trust the search engines because they're in the hip pockets of politicians and pharmaceuticals and you name it. I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-pharmaceutical. I'm not anti search engines, the internet, et cetera, et cetera. I am anti-lying and trying to dictate and make us the slaves that they are trying to make us. That's what I am tired of. I am tired of seeing the fight go on about the hydroxychloroquine versus the vaccine that we don't even know. Now, I correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody can tell me. But I have been told that, or I have read, I believe that the remdesivir has been tested on since SARS came out. I don't. So that was about 2005, maybe. I can't, but they're still working on it. So I don't know. I don't even know if that was a true comment. It might have been in some of the information that I have. But still, I'm not taking a vaccine that's only been out for a year. I can tell you that right now. Matter of fact, I don't think I'll take the vaccine at all. I'll take my chances on being around people that I know I can trust. And if I wear a mask, that's my choice, and that's and it's your choice if you decide not to, as far as I'm concerned. Bruno, excuse me, Francesca says, I believe the Wuhan virus is real, and I agree. I do too. Man-made disease. Now, that was going to be my next flying object. Is this really a man-made disease? Because, and she goes on to say, but they're lying about the numbers. We have a flu or something every year. That's true, and you're absolutely correct about that. I believe it's all intentionally spread, but there is a cure. They create cures with their diseases. And you got a point there because it's all about follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. That's what this is all about, for crying out loud. So you're right about that, Francisca. I agree. That it could be man-made. I can't prove that one way or another. I mentioned it on my last show that I thought possibly it was, and I also said that I think possibly that even our own country and maybe one of the universities had something to do with it, which some other people seem to agree or had some comments about that. Lisa Anderson, I saw Gilead was going to sell to the government, excuse me, for $2,340 of treatment, and Alex Azar, the Secretary of the uh, uh, HHS, okay, um, made a deal for the government to buy 500,000 treatments. That's a half a million. I believe this is close to $2 trillion. And she said, I called this and I saw this on Wikipedia. Alex Azar worked for Eli Lilly, and so there is some money involved. Trump is primarily motivated by money, not ethics. So Trump is playing two sides. Well, there we go. Now this goes back to the political situation, because uh, and I want to get to the FDA also, Lisa, about this, and that's about um, Mr. Hahn. If those of you who don't know who he is, take a quick look and look up. I question his motive, telling us we cannot use hydroxychloroquine. Going back to the money, now where isn't are we going to get $2 trillion when right now the House and the Senate can't even get together between a one and $3 trillion as far as the COVID situation, the coronavirus situation. You know, it's really very easy to understand one thing. It is very political. It's extremely political. I'm not going to read a bunch of this. I'm going to tell you though. I'm going to tell you that when clinical trials say that the HCQ works and clinical trials say that it doesn't work, how in the heck are we supposed to know? And how are we supposed to believe it? How are we supposed to say you don't have the right to tell me what's good for me, that you know what's good for me more than I know what's good for me? That's like telling me that I have to eat spinach because you told me to if I don't like spinach. And I know that's kind of maybe a stupid comparison, but there's nobody out there that has the right to tell me what to do or what I feel is best. But yet they can tell you that we can cause you to die. We can depopulate you. And Bill Gates, I got to bring him up again. What in the world is he doing? I just saw, I don't know, I can't even remember who posted it. And I read it and I said, oh my, for crying out loud. When did he become an expert in the medical field? And I just read this tonight. Darn it, I wish I'd have remembered what I saw on that. Because listen, people, this is serious. This is very serious. It's not, the virus is going to go away. There's no doubt that it's going to go away. But the problem is, who's going to pay the price? Look how many people, the numbers themselves concern me. Are, the death numbers concern me because I'm not sure they're accurate. And as I said on my last show, if you fall off a cliff and die, but you've been tested for virus, that was your cause of death, was the virus. If you're in a car accident and you had been tested for virus, the virus was your cause of death, not the car accident. The same goes for how many times people have been tested, how many times people have been tested and counted as a new number. Now, I think this is something that we really have to get why I think we have to get some kind of movement going to find out and let us get some control as people. This is our country. I'm not saying overthrow the government. Don't even go there. Facebook, please, because that's not my suggestion. My suggestion is a movement that can open this up and find out and get known to the point where we can figure out where the virus came from for sure, how it came about, why all of a sudden there's vaccines all over the place, but not any pill that you can take because the FDA says nope. The CDC says nope. The World Health Organization says nope. Well, guess what? I don't trust any three of them. I don't trust not one of them. I used to think the FDA maybe had made some sense, but not anymore. I'm telling you as I feel. These are my opinions. Francisco says, Lisa Anderson is wrong. Trump doesn't even get paid for running for our country. He donates his checks to, and is definitely not about the money. First, it's America. First, it's actually God, and first, make America great again. And okay, Joanne Olson, every time a person is tested, they count it as a new case. The numbers are way off. That's what I just said, and I agree. This is the whole thing, Joanne. Look, there's an article, even AstraZeneca. And I said this, I think, last video, but I won't swear to it. AstraZeneca agrees to supply Europe with 400 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. Who are they getting it from? Is AstraZeneca now in the vaccine business, along with Gilead? Okay, I'm gonna tell you somebody else. Neil, Francis says, Neil, our movement has to be pray all this evil away and pray constantly. I can't disagree with that. I agree with that. We have to pray again to get this virus, get this situation. We have to get our country back in order. The biggest problem is that in my opinion, is that we've gotten God out of the country. We haven't invited him back in, and I think it's about time we do. My reason for mentioning a movement, Francisco, is basically because if nothing else, we maybe can make enough noise to get doctors to support what we're saying. It's kind of like putting pressure. You see how the BLM got so much pressure going that everybody was covering BLM. Well, when I reported who was behind BLM, guess what? Bill O'Reilly reported what was behind BLM and where the money was going. And trust me, people, you will do not want to know how much and where and everything. He reported it even deeper than I did, and I gave you some high numbers on BLM. But they made their noise. They made their noise. And I'm saying that a movement of some sorts, and I am not suggesting that we become a violent type of organization. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just suggesting that maybe somebody can come up with an idea of how we can organize as a group of people to let the government know, look, we are your guinea pigs. And I'm not going to be anybody's guinea pig. If I get the virus, you're not going to make me a guinea pig. I am not going to take your vaccine. If that means that you're going to put a respirator down my throat and then kill me off, nope, ain't going to happen. I'll go home and, lay on my sofa if I have to. My point being, something evil is right, Francisco. Something evil is going on. It's almost like a science fiction where there's been this big, humongous spaceship that's come over us and spread us with some kind of spray that's made the whole world sick. And now, because these alien ships have come over, and the mothership is there, saying where to go and where to give all the virus and make everybody sick. And these companies, these lab companies, are testing and saying, yep, this is positive, they're sick, give them a shot, don't give them a pill, but give them a shot, do whatever. Let me tell you who else is involved, who's gotten into the business now. Coronavirus camera firm Kodak turns to drugs to fight the virus. Oh my gosh. Oh my, did anybody see that? Did anybody see that Kodak is now into the to the prescription or into the vaccine business? Yeah, uh, you know, shares in Kodak shot up more than 60% on Tuesday after the announcement. You know, the fallen giant of the photography industry will make the ingredients used in generic drugs to help fight the coronavirus. Are they talking about the vaccine? Oh my gosh, I'm telling you what. Somebody tell me, did you know that Kodak was getting involved? Joanne says, I will not take the vaccine. This vaccine is skipping any and all yeah, animal trial. That was my point earlier, and I think maybe I didn't make it clear enough. If Bill Gates is involved, it is bad. I totally 100% agree with that. Bill Gates is not a doctor, but all of a sudden he knows everything there is about doctoring. And if I'm sorry if I talk so fast, folks, but I get carried away sometimes. But let me explain something to you. He doesn't have a doctorate degree, but all of a sudden he's an expert. But he also, if you go back and do some research, wants to depopulate the world, not just the United States. He wants to depopulate the world. Now, you go on to say, Joanne, that he is not a scientist. I am not a doctor. Just what I just said is right. Not even a college graduate. And as you said, when did he become an expert? I want to know the same question. I really do, or the answer to that question. I have questioned Bill Gates. I have questioned his and Facebook police. I'm going to say it. I even questioned Mark Zuckerberg's involvement in things that I'm not sure he understands. Is he a doctor? No, not to my knowledge. He's a, they're both brilliant men. There's no doubt about it. They've made a lot of money. They've come up with ideas that have worked. They have changed how we now get along and talk to each other. I have to give them that. I mean, really, you've got Microsoft who dictates everything around the world. Matter of fact, now they're into possibly buying what is it, TikTok, because of a possibility that China is using TikTok to spy on American people. I'm not going to go into that right now. Ziola, hey, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you could make it. We need to walk right in there and take the halls of Congress. Can I tell you something? And that kind of reminds me of somebody that I interviewed on my radio show a few years back. She is no longer alive, unfortunately, and she and we didn't get along, Ziola, I have to be honest with you, because I thought she was a little bit off when the way she wanted to walk into Congress. She didn't want to take their hats off. She wanted to go in armed with a bunch of people. She wanted to take over Congress, walk in and say that, and just tell Congress, hey, we are taking over. We are the people. We are the government. You work for us, which they do. But when I interviewed her, I told her, I said, you're out of your mind. That's crazy. No, you're just going to get people killed because we cannot fight the military. And I wouldn't be a part of that anyway. Well, unfortunately, she died at an early age. And I often wondered, she was a lawyer. She was an attorney. And I have to feel bad for her, even though we didn't agree on that particular issue. But what you're saying it makes sense. In a way, it's kind of like protesting, Ziola. I mean, not rioting. I'm talking about protesting. That we have the right to know what's really going on because there's something deeper going on than what they're telling us. Now, maybe I'm totally wacko, but if I am, tell me, will you please tell me how wacko I really am. Lisa Henderson says that remdesivir is the drug that Gilead has not been approved by the FDA for any disease. So why has the HHS secretary guaranteed to purchase the drug American tax dollars. See, there's another situation. Now, see, with all the information that I have, that with all the paperwork and stuff that I've got, and I'm sorry if I'm looking in that direction because I should be looking forward, but I'm reading the comments. I'm making sure I don't miss anybody's comments. But here's the situation. This is kind of like it's kind of like a movie where we have these people that are out to get the people somehow or another. They're like secret agents or whatever. So like it's a situation there where we the people are the guinea pig. We're not supposed to know. We're only supposed to know what we're told or what we're read. We're only supposed to know what we are. We are absolutely downright told you can only believe this. And in this situation, there's so many sides to this, we can't believe any of it. At least I can't. I don't know about you, but I can't. And I agree with you. I wonder how in the world the FDA has not approved this, but yet the HHS secretary guaranteed to purchase the drug from with American tax dollars. It's your money. It's my money. It's our money. That's the problem. We don't have a voice in that. We do not have a voice in that. Ziola, look up Bill Gates, TED Talk. Hear it right out of his mouth. It's shocking. Yes, I believe in fact, Ziola, I think I did read that or watch, and I watched that particular situation where he says, are you referring to about him wanting to depopulate the world and make a vaccine that everybody has to take or something to that effect, Ziola? Correct me if I'm wrong. Lisa, Bruno, why hasn't Trump called out Fauci and other members on his task force on the HCQ question? He has access to the info. It's not like he's shrinking. He's not a shrinking violet. Why hasn't Trump signed an executive order to guarantee Americans can get HCQ if they want it? Excellent question. I have to admit. You're going to find out, people. You're going to find out. And I wish some men would get involved. You ladies are, like I said, you ladies are going to be the ones that decide this upcoming election. I truly mean it. A lot of times men will watch, but they won't join in the conversation. But what you said there, he does have the right, but there is a certain part of the Constitution that limits him to what he can or cannot do as far as that part, Lisa, from what I am understanding. I don't know that he can sign an executive order to get HCQ if people want it. I would think he could because he mentioned something about signing an executive order about something today, and I don't even remember what it was. And I apologize that I didn't know that I don't remember that. And Bruno says, "Yep, saw that. We're trying to get trusted big companies here in the USA to cover all of the things we're getting from China, make them here and better." I hope we could get companies back here away from China. We're the one that's paying the bill for whatever comes from China. We buy, we have to pay the tariffs and so on and so forth. And I will give Trump credit for that he said, hey, we're putting a stop to that. China's going to pay. You have to give him credit. I wouldn't care if it was Joe Biden that did it. We would have to give him credit for it, if he were president. So anyway, and Ziola says no. I'm not sure what you were saying no to, but I think maybe you're going on to this. Let's see. Ziola says, I want to dress up in suits with our briefcases ready to work with the military on our side. We're going back to the Congress thing. I got you. With military backing us up, escorting us in there, we have got it. If we had, that's a strange thing that you said that when I said the military would be used against us. When I interviewed this particular person, I can tell you her name because she has passed away. With all due respects to her, she was an attorney from Indianapolis, Indiana, and her name was Linda Thompson. You can look her up, and she was pretty radical. She was kind of on the right, pretty radical on the right to be exact. But anyway, uh, like Aaron Russo, who wanted to start the Constitution Party. Aaron Russo was a movie producer, produced Trading Places and a movie called The Rose. And he told me he wanted me to run the Constitution Party in Indiana, and I was doing radio, and I said that would be a conflict, and I had to turn him down. He also, unfortunately, ended up with a early death. I don't know the reasons. I'm not trying to try to conspiracy, but there's things that go on that we need to find out as people. And that's why when I mentioned this movement type of thing, and Ziola, I see where you're coming from. If we had the military to back us up, we could go into Congress, the people that we elected. Nobody's going to shoot anybody. But the fact of the matter is, these people need to be either voted out of office, kicked out of office, uh, 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 forced out of office. If they're not doing what's right for the people, why are we keep reelecting them? I mean, let's be realistic. It's happening over and over and over again. These people have made a lifetime of being nothing but politicians. They've become career politicians. When is that going to stop? And I'm sorry if I'm getting a little blood pressure going here, but I got to tell you something. It's got to stop. And I see where you're coming from, Ziola. And no, I'm not. And Ziola is not saying we're going to start some kind of revolution. She's just saying we ought to just go to Congress and say, get out of here. The people are going to start running the country, and we're going to do it right. We're going to allow people to think for themselves, not have a wild, crazy jungle type thinking. I'm talking about making decisions. Let doctors make decisions. Let the people make decisions. When you go to the grocery store, when you get to the point where you're going to be told what you can buy and what you can't buy, then guess what's going to hit the fan, people? Guess what's going to hit the fan? Lisa, I can't see Francisca. Um, are you going back to the the politic part of that, Lisa? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So forgive me if I'm wrong. Zola said, yes, that's it. I will send you the links later. And we have we have to highlight this. It's serious. This whole thing is serious. I'm very serious. It really is. The virus is serious. The vaccine situation is serious. The fact that trillions of dollars are being spent now all of a sudden, people are out of work. Could be now. Oh, I know. I remember what it was that President Trump said that he could sign an executive order, and that was to keep people from being evicted from their homes by a landlord or whatever. Because Congress can't come together because they want to put their fork in on both sides. I'm not going to say he always says the Democrats. Well, I'm not picking on him, but this is what he says, and of course that would be true if we had a Democrat in, they'd be saying it's the Republicans. Well, in this case, you've got a Congress, and you've got a House of Representatives that's more Democratic. You've got a Senate that's more Republican. They can't even get together on a situation for the people. 535 people can't get together to help or to do something about 350 million people that are risking their lives and have lost their lives. I don't know how many have lost, and I pray to God every night that those people that have lost family members or relatives or whatever to the virus, to give them peace somehow. And I pray every night that he will take and somehow we can get rid of this virus and get rid of the violence that has occurred. There seems to be the coronavirus seems to slow down as far as the news, when all the protests and rioting was going on. But now that that's slowed down, the virus is back up in full gear again. It's full gear. Ziola, I appreciate if you would send me that. She goes on to say, America is completely compromised, to Israel, and we are under threat. It's basically on the way we see on what they say or else. Yeah, no, I don't want to get into that part, Ziola, and I'll tell you the reason why I don't. It's just like Beirut. Beirut had a horrendous, they said, attack that they know of. That the last I heard, there was at least 60 people that were killed in this, and it was not an explosion, it was an attack. There's no doubt. Israel has said, and they have not gotten along with Barack. Was it Barack? It was in Lebanon anyway. Okay. Israel and Lebanon are not in the greatest terms, but Israel has offered their help because so many people. It was like a 911 to them apparently compared to what we had. So, but I don't want to get into the Israel thing because I don't have enough knowledge, and the only knowledge I would have is Ziola is, and this is my own true beliefs, that I would have to refer back to the Bible as far as what I would know as far as what prophecies or whatever it might be. And I'm not going to get on that bandwagon at this point because this is not a show. That I'm not a theologist, and I do not get on my preaching bandwagon. I get on a preaching bandwagon on what I'm doing right now. That's my preaching bandwagon. Francisca, Lisa Anderson, you're welcome to ask him yourself like I do. Sometimes they do have to give us disinformation. Maybe it's coming. She goes on to say, I trust Trump. Remember, he has others around him, and he's not alone. Or he would, I guarantee things be kept firm. Trump. We have to stay in communication with him too. Francisco, I know what you're saying, and I agree. He does have people that tell him. It's just like when he reports about the medical. That's not coming out of his head alone. What's going on with the virus, the numbers and the states and so on and so forth. That's coming from his medical people. And as far as Fauci's concerned, I don't know, they claim that they're still getting along, but he's not a part of the front line like he was before. Dr. Britt is still part of it, but she and Dr. Fauci have had their differences. Dr. Birx says the numbers don't add up. She thinks that maybe it's like 50%, possibly 50%. That's quite a bit. Lisa, Bruno, how do you communicate with him? I think we should call the White House and write letters. Is that what you're talking about? You know something? I love that idea right there. First of all, let me stop. Let me stop before I go to what Francisco has to say about that. We need to inundate with phone calls, letters. We need to bombard the White House. We need to bombard our representatives, our congressmen, and tell them we are the people. We want answers. That is the kind of movement I am talking about. We can start something. We need to get this out. We need to make people realize we are the people. We are the government. Go back in history. Go back and read. We are the government. They are representatives. They're supposed to represent us. They're supposed to do what we say. They're supposed to do what's best for us. Yes, we elect them to represent us, but not to destroy us. And that's what they're doing right now. They're destroying us. They're destroying our economy. They're destroying our lives. They're destroying our children. Look, how many children, speaking of children, how many children are going to get back to school? If they start in kindergarten, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do anything with children in kindergarten if they're going to have to do it by computer? Come on, help me out here. Am I crazy, or is there any truth to this? Are there any facts? How are children going to even get anywhere if they can't go back to school? I'm going to tell you the way I see it. I'm going to tell you just the way I see it. And those of you that disagree with me, I respect your opinion. We have to blame the teachers' unions because they do not want kids going back to school. They do not want teachers in the classrooms at this point. This is all a way of this is where it's an election year. Let's face it. And now that this has happened, I'm blaming the unions as far as the schools are concerned. I'm sorry if I've upset anybody, but that's the way it is. I'm going on. But I do like Lisa's idea because we need to inundate, we need to bombard, we need to call the White House. We just keep the White House phones lit up until they go crazy or whatever they do. The other thing is we need to have all our congressmen and representatives, everybody in Congress, their phones, they need to get so sick and tired of people calling. And because we are the guinea pig that they are playing games with. We're the people that they walk on, that they're playing games with. I'm concerned about the people that are running out of money for their unemployment. Do they need $600 a week? No, in my opinion, I'm going to tell you like I feel, they don't, because that's going to keep them from wanting to go to work. If they make less than $600 a week, why should they get more for staying at home? That's just my opinion. But I think they should get paid something so that they can survive and their families can survive. I'm worried more about these children that don't have food. I'm worried more about these mothers that are raising children alone that don't have food or rent money or whatever the case might be. They need help, and Congress is sitting there on their rear ends fighting with each other because of their torque, because of what they are concerned about, their own personal agenda. That's exactly what it is, and it comes from their lobbyists who are paying them in their back pocket. That's my opinion. I'm not stating facts for the Facebook police to take me down or whatever. Anyway, let's go on. Francisca says it's a game of chess, Lisa. I may not have all the answers, but I trust the plan. Is that WWG? WWGA? I can't read it because of my glasses are so bad. Neil, there has been a lot of fraud with elections, and it's not just presidential. Oh, you're right. No, it isn't just presidential. There's no doubt about it. Lisa, Alex Azar's specialty per Wikipedia is Eli Lilly. They're out. If I'm not mistaken, they're out of Indiana. They're raising the prices on drugs like 3 times. He's an attorney, and he's not a scientist or a doctor. He's a lobbyist. Bingo. Thank you, Lisa. He is a lobbyist. This is who's running our country, people. And you can look inside where Ziola had mentioned Congress. Those lobbyists are in they're inside of these people's minds. Even, I mean, they're running our country because of the perks. Anyway, she goes on to say, you have to certify, or you have to, comfy relationships between big pharma and government. That's why I bring up Trump and the Republicans. Also, the connections between Ken Starr, Epstein, Brett Kavanaugh, Alex Azar. It's a tight group of cronies. There again, I don't know, Lisa. I'm maybe somebody else knows more about it. The Epstein situation, there's so much going on that they're even digging out Clinton and whoever else they can dig out. So I honestly can't get into that part. I can agree with you on the fact that he was a lobbyist. He's not a doctor. He's not an attorney, or I mean, he is an attorney He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. He's a lobbyist, and that's true. And that's where we're going to go. Francisca says, yes, I like to tweet him, and he reads it. All of it. All of us have all or has it read to him. He is listening to us and what he said. Francisca, you're on Twitter, correct? Are you referring to that you tweet President Trump, and he does read your articles, or he has somebody that does? If so, just let us know. Hey, Jason Meyer, I'm glad you could make it. We finally got a man. We finally got a man to come on the show. We pay their bills, and he laughed about that. But no, it's really not. It's really true. We do pay their bills. This is something that's really not a fairy tale, because I mean, look at how much tax money they get out of you. I mean, Jason, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I'm sure glad you joined us tonight. I'm glad everybody's joined us. I'm glad. I got to tell you something. Before the show, I was worried that about if people would be commenting, because this is such a topic that's so touchy, so hard to really nail down, because it's so deep. It's deep and it's dark. I call it dark. Maybe some of you disagree, but I call it dark because there is something going on. It's either that we don't know, and we have to find out what it is. Ziola, I did that for years, writing letters, calling the White House every day, 5 times, sometimes, makes no difference. Now the phone lines are down. We need to write, but it's pretty discouraging. And Ziola, you're right. It is discouraging. And phone lines are probably down because of the hurricane that went through North Carolina and that area, and it's headed. I think it's even headed up towards Maine or someplace like that. And I don't know about if it's hit the White House or not, because I'm sure the White House has backup phones somehow or another. And so does Congress. But I do believe that. Writing letters, it's funny when you write a letter or even call a congressman, you always get this nice letter back. Thank you for your concern, or whatever it might be. And we really appreciate your interest, and we're going to look into this, and we'll get back with you. Don't hold your breath, because they're not going to get back with you. But my point is, if we get enough people to just continually, I mean, it could grow. It doesn't have to start with just, I mean, it starts with 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 people, 7 people, 8 people, 10 people, whatever the case might be, and it can grow. Let me tell you, Black Lives Matter started with 3 Marxist women. Look it up, and look how it grew. So if you think that a movement couldn't start and grow, and it seems to me that these states, the state governments, governors, mayors, started listening to them, and the rioters came in, paid by, as far as I'm concerned, George Soros and his gang, because he hates America as well. As far as I'm concerned, he's a Marxist. He may decline that. That's my opinion, Facebook police, just so you don't go getting excited there. Francisco, and all the leaders out, all the Dems out. I got to tell you, to be honest with you, Francisco, I'm going to be honest with you. In this situation, the Senate, the House will not be lost to the Republicans, and the Senate may be lost to the Democrats. The way things are right now, I'm just telling you as I see it. This is my opinion. I'm not the expert. I think we need a divide. I think we need a balance. You've got to have a balance. Whether it's, if you have all one side on both the House and the Senate, too many things can get done that shouldn't get done. And that's why when I see moderates, a little more moderates, I feel better. But when I start seeing the far rights and the far lefts and those that are, I'm going to tell you right now, if the Democrats take over the Senate, you know who's going to be your next um, Senate leader. It will not be Mitch McConnell, but it'll be your friend that stands behind him. Anyway, that's just my own opinion. I try. I'm going to let you know right now. I try to look at both sides, and I'll take apart both sides, because if they're not doing what's right for the people, that's their job, and it's my job, in my opinion. If I'm going to be reporting like this, it's my job to take down whichever side's not doing the right thing. And you can disagree with me on that, and that's okay. Lisa says people spending too much time, they forget to contact representatives. Oh, that's too much time on, or too much online. Lisa, are you blaming me for that? I do spend a lot of time online, I have to agree. And they do forget to contact representatives. We have to remember we are talking among ourselves here. We need to address them. You're right. You are right. Uh, we do spend a lot of time, but this is how we communicate anymore. We don't communicate like we used to. Kids don't even communicate. How many times have you seen just even teenagers or even adults sitting in a restaurant or walking down the street, and each of them got a phone? They're not talking to each other. They're talking to whoever they're messaging or whatever they're doing on the phone, or looking up whatever it is. The same thing when you're on the computer or whatever the case might be. Like right now, we're on here. I don't know how many people have actually have watched the program. I hope you will share this tonight. Please help me out and help me share this and get this out, because this message, you are the messengers. I'm that are really getting the points across. All I'm doing is bringing up information, and I'm telling you what I'm finding, and you're giving me your responses. I love that. I need it. So please share this video when we get done tonight. Lisa says he is running out, or he's running our HHS. Lisa, you're referring to President Trump. I'm not sure if correct me if I'm wrong. She goes on and said that I read on Wikipedia about the cronies of Alex Azar. Read it. I shall do that. Bruno, excuse me, Francisca. Sorry about that. Yep. I'm not sure what yep you're referring to, but I'm sure it's something I said that opened my big mouth. Um, Trump doesn't read your tweets, Francisca, according to that's what Lisa says. Um, I know so. Don Jr. retweeted and pinned my tweet to his dad. I do know I have seen Francisca on Twitter a lot. Now, I personally am on Twitter, but I do not do much posting on Twitter. I'm basically here on Facebook. Um, so, I have to apologize that I'm not. Elise Anderson, we don't pay their bills because they are pulling money directly out of the Fed. We are going on the credit card. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to disagree, except for the fact what uh, uh, Mr. Myers said. um, is the fact that it's our tax money. They're getting our money one way or the other. Whether whether it comes from the Fed gets it from us because that's why we're taxed. You go to the store to buy something, you get taxed. You think that it all goes to the state? It certainly does not, because the Fed gets a bunch of it too. And it's Francisca. Am I correct? Am I saying that right, Francisca? Say yes or no. Or Francesca, because I want to make sure I understand. Because I don't want to miss anybody's name by any chance or mispronounce it. Lisa, if you call on the phone, I think they talk. Talk, is it tails? Is that what you're saying? Lisa, Alex A. Okay, you're referring to Alex Azar. Okay, when you went on that other part. Uh, Ziola, good show. Shared. Thank you, Neil. Well, thank you, Ziola. You know, listen, I appreciate every one of you. I really do, and I'm glad you think it's been a good show. And I hope that you will pass this on for me, not for me personally, but for other people to see it, for them to see your comments and respect you, because I'm going to tell you, I get after my show, it's interesting. I get many friend requests. Some I can and respond to, and some I can't. I'm very cautious about, to be honest with you, about if somebody doesn't have any information about them, or if they only have one or two friends. I'm a little bit cautious about that because I have been hacked. I really have been hacked in the past, and I'm a little cautious about that. Anyway, Lisa Anderson, if you support him, he will grab it. Uh, Not if you are disagreeing. You're referring to the president, and Francisco says no. Um, you're killing it. Are you talking about me? Am I killing it? Francesca. Is it Francesca? Oh boy, I killed her name. Well, if I call you Bruno, then I feel kind of out of place. Anyway, so as it stands right now, as it stands right now, what happens from here? Do we continue the next show on the coronavirus and the vaccine? Because let me tell you something, the vaccine is getting to be a very serious, deep thing. People have talked about a chip being in the vaccine. I don't know if there will or will not. Talk about tracing. Well, I don't know if there will be any tracing or not in the vaccine. Um, don't be laughing at me. I can see that, Bruno. Anyway, the point I'm getting at, I need any help or any suggestions that you get. I didn't get into everything tonight. I really didn't, because I did not want Jason. There we go. I'm sorry, Jason. I said Mr. Myers. Well, I had that. That's a kind of some respect for you, uh, uh, because I have was going to bring up. I'm not going to bring it up tonight because it's getting late. I was going to bring up about biological weapons, bioterrorism, and vaccines. I was going to do that the last show, and I didn't get to it, and I didn't get it to this show. So if if you want to message me and just say what that you would like to continue on with this topic for and do a part 4 of the coronavirus and the vaccine, or if we want to move on to something else, and I don't know what else it'll be unless it's going to be the election, and boy, that's going to get heated. That's going to get really heated. Um, Lisa, it's Bruno said, excuse me, Francesca. Hang on a minute. I got the laughs are out there. There we go. It's clear you don't like Trump. It's okay. I do. Well, and I think that's a good attitude for both of you, because I think that both of you are adult enough and wise enough to respect each other's beliefs politically. Doesn't mean you can disagree. I have a lot of friends that disagree with my political beliefs, but we're still friends. Lisa says Twitter is a fan club for Trump. That isn't an act of citizenship in a free country. Um, I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying. Twitter is a fan club for Trump. That isn't an act of citizenship in the country. Um, yes, he does tweet. He does tweet a lot, daily, several times. He doesn't get a lot of sleep. We know that. But the bottom line is, he uses that for his platform. Francisca says, right, okay. Um, and I think you're referring to the fact that, of course, we can still be friends, and that's true. Because let me tell you something: when we start letting them divide us, and that's what is happening in our country today. Our own government lawmakers, I don't care who it is, and the mainstream media, and even possibly social media, is dividing us so big that it's trying to make us not be friends with people who might not have our same political beliefs. And if that's the case, that's where we should draw the line. And I'm glad that you said what you did, Bruno. Bruno, here I did it again. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. Gives a thumbs up to Lisa. And I think that's great. You know, I really appreciate what all the comments that everybody has made. For everybody who's joined in, who's watched, who's been a part. And Jason, I didn't really mean to say Mr. Myers, but I'm just giving you a little respect. Uh, you ladies make this show all the way from the Philippines to the United States of America. I even and even Sweden. So this is really great. Um, Jason says that they are criminals hiding behind the laws, their laws. I don't trust any politician, if that's what you mean. So, Jason, I have to agree. Francisca says, good show, Neil. Thank you. Thanks for your part in it. Thanks for Lisa. Thanks for everybody's. Jason's, Ziola's, Joanne's, Evelyn's. Um, let's see who else. Golly, there were so many people. Um, and the part I like is the fact that the discussion. I didn't have you. I didn't have to. I didn't have to do as much other than just start the show off and read what I read to give you something to think about and to comment about. You're just fine, Neil. Thank you for involving us all. Jason, I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. I really do. So if you would, please share this video. I haven't got my last two up on YouTube yet. I'm going to do that, and I'll get this one up on YouTube as soon as I can. Lisa says, good discussion, Neil. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate your discussion too. I truly do. But if you want to continue with this, because I don't think we should just drop it. We've got to find out what the deep part of this push for the vaccine and not letting the HCQ be used for people who have symptoms of the coronavirus. Francesca says, Jason is right. A rigged system, but a lot has been exposed and is being exposed. Stay tuned. Like that way of saying it. Audrey says, thanks, Neil. Audrey, thank you. I really mean it. So true, Bruno, according to Doug, or Jason, I mean. Jason, I got to tell you, I got yelled at. She really didn't yell at me. She just kind of laughed at me because I wasn't pronouncing her name right. Francesca, I believe. She's going to have to send me she's going to have to do a spelling of that somehow. It's finally happening, Doug, Jason says. Lisa says, let's stay on it. I call it medical tyranny. I would like to stay on it. The thing of it is I just don't want to keep repeating. What I don't want to do is keep repeating the same things over. But there's a lot of stuff that I missed, a lot of stuff I've left out because I don't want to take up the show. Don't laugh at me, Jason. Now go ahead and laugh at me. Other people do. Anyway, is anybody in favor of what Lisa says? Lisa says let's stay on it. She thinks we should try to find out what's behind this medical tyranny. And I think Francisca probably would agree with that. That this is a serious situation. Jason, I don't know. Maybe you can let me know as well. In the meantime, because I'm going to stop on the half hour. I want to thank all of you for taking part and being a part of American Truth Finders. Again, I'm Neil Douglas, as most of you know. If you don't know, I'll just look at the homepage, it'll show you, or the timeline. And I don't know when I'll do the next show, possibly next Sunday, but until then, please share this. I want to thank everyone. God bless all of you. Have a great night. Be safe. And we'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.